The April 7th, 2025 meeting of the Bay City City Commission will come to order. The clerk will give the invocation, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Coakley.
Here.
Bernie Obershaw.
Here.
Tenney.
Here.
Hilliker.
Here.
DeWitt.
Here.
Runberg.
Here.
Charlebois.
Here.
Morris.
Here.
And Mayor Gerard.
Present, we have a quorum. Next order of business calls for a closed session regarding, we actually have three this evening. One is with the Warner Norcross Judd attorneys to discuss legal opinion on UBP agreement. Second is closed session with Warner Norcross Judd attorneys to discuss summons regarding Garsky Hewitt PLC versus UBP LLC and the City of Bay City. And lastly, the closed session with Warner Norcross Judd attorneys to discuss status of revenue bonds. So is there a motion? Commissioner Prince?
Motion to move to closed session.
Is there a second? Commissioner Coakley?
Second.
All right. Is there any objections? Okay, we're going to do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Coakley.
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw.
Absolutely, yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
Hilliker.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Runberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Prince.
Yes.
9 yes.
All right, we're going to closed session upstairs. Just for folks to know, we're allowing a few other commissioners take a little break, and as soon as they think we're just missing 2 commissioners, so hopefully they'll be back shortly and we'll continue. The City Commission is now back in session. Will the clerk please note the attendance of the commission remains the same as the time of recess. We are going to be skipping tonight on the agenda. The updated lead lines, we'll have that at a future meeting. So next order of business is the adoption of the agenda. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda? Commissioner Prince.
Motion to adopt.
Second, Commissioner Coakley.
Second.
All right. Do any members of the commission wish to add any items to the agenda? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the agenda?
Commissioner Tenney.
Yes.
Hilliker,
Yes.
DeWitt,
Yes.
Runberg,
Yes.
Charlebois,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Prince,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw.
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. The agenda for this evening has been adopted. Next order of business is the consent agenda. Do any members of the commission wish to make a change to the consent agenda? Okay, seeing none. Next order of business calls for public input on the consent agenda. This is the opportunity for citizens to remove an item from the consent for consideration on the regular agenda. If anyone in the audience wishes to make a change, please come to the microphone, print your name on the registration sheet, state your name and address for the record, and the item you wish to have considered on the regular agenda. All right, I'll take a motion on the consent agenda. Commissioner Prince.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Is there a second? Commissioner Hilliker?
Second.
Second? Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the consent agenda?
Commissioner Hilliker,
Yes.
DeWitt,
Yes.
Runberg,
Yes.
Charlebois,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Prince,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw,
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
9 yes.
Thank you. The recommendations as listed on the consent agenda have been approved. Next item of business calls for remarks of the mayor and the commission. Commissioners? Commissioner Tenney.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to recognize that April is Autism Acceptance and Awareness Month, and I want to celebrate those in our community that are neurodivergent. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I do want to read a statement. I know many of you are here for the consideration of the veto. So I did write something up tonight. So I want to begin by acknowledging that the decision to veto the Welcoming City resolution was not made lightly. I understand and appreciate the passion that many of our community brought to this conversation, both in support and opposition. I know this is a deeply personal issue for many, and the words welcoming and inclusive are values that we all strive to uphold. They're values I believe in as well. But as mayor, I have a responsibility not just to values, but to process, to law, and to ensuring that our city government operates within its proper role and authority. Let me be clear, my veto was not about rejecting the idea that Bay City should be a welcoming place, because I believe we already are, and we should continue to be. Bay City is a community where neighbors look out for one another, where diversity is a strength, and where people from all walks of life are part of the fabric that makes us a great place. But the resolution as presented, while symbolic in intent, steps into areas that carry legal and political implications far beyond what a resolution can or should address at the municipal level. We must be cautious of how we as city government define our role. We are not lawmakers on federal immigration policy. We are not an advocacy body for national agenda. Our job is to manage city services, keep our neighborhoods safe, maintain our infrastructure, and support the quality of life for all residents. Additionally, it's important to understand that symbolic resolutions like this one do not insulate a city from the realities of federal enforcement. There are numerous examples in cities like Chicago, San Francisco, and even Ann Arbor that have adopted policies to limit cooperation with immigration authorities, and yet ICE agents have continued to operate independently in those communities, making arrests and carrying out enforcement actions. These are federal operations that local governments have no control over, regardless of resolutions or declarations. Worse, such declarations can sometimes have unintended consequences of putting targets on a city. By signaling a stance of resistance to the federal enforcement, municipalities may actually draw increased scrutiny. And while the resolution states that local resources would only be used for local purposes, the practical outcome may be quite different. If our state and federal resources are significantly cut or eliminated, it will far outweigh any costs associated with carrying out the resolution passed by the commission. In addition, the impact will also be felt by our community partners, including the county and nonprofit programs in our entire surrounding communities. It's also important to acknowledge something I think that often goes overlooked. Many of the residents who contacted me asking for this resolution to be vetoed were not political activists. They were everyday Bay City residents, people who normally don't speak at commission meetings or write emails to City Hall, who felt genuinely concerned. They told me they were worried about their safety, about what this resolution might mean to the future of our city. And whether we agree with their concerns or not, we have a responsibility to listen. Who are we to judge on how other people feel about their safety, their community, and their city? Furthermore, I was concerned about how the resolution, despite good intentions, added to the growing political polarization we're seeing both nationally and locally. What should bring people together instead became another wedge issue. And I truly believe we need less of that right now, not more. I want Bay City to be a city that lives its values, not just writes them in symbolic documents. That means investing in programs that help our underserved communities. That means listening to our residents, especially those who feel unseen. That means building trust and unity, not political grandstanding. So, excuse me, I'm going to ask you to be removed if you can't control yourself. Thank you. So tonight, I reaffirm my commitment to working with every commissioner, every member of the community to make Bay City a place where everyone feels they belong, not because we passed a solution, but because we acted with integrity, compassion, and a common purpose. Thank you. All right, any other commissioners have comments? Commissioner Bernie Overshaw.
Yes, I'd like to ask, first, I'd like to ask you, Commissioner Coakley, can I ask the mayor some questions? Would that be fine? Okay. I would like to ask you some questions about your veto. Is that fine?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. Well, you know, what I would like to say about your veto about this immigration situation, when you say that the government would cut funds to our city, could you clarify that? Because when we have the tariffs that just took place, the DEI, the dismantling of all these government fundings that are hitting the whole United States, what government funding are we going, what's going to be taken from us, from this city that hasn't been taken from the whole United States of America?
Just to make it real clear, last meeting we kind of let it slide. We're trying to hold decorum here, and I want to give everybody opportunity to express themselves, but in a manner as appropriate that everybody can express themselves. So with that being said, two separate issues, Commissioner. Again, you want to delve into federal policy. We're not federal policymakers. Tariffs, yes, could impact us. I don't know what to degree, but that's federal policy. That's not our purview. That's not what we're here for. We're here for local issues. And yes, I was informed that the state, they're going through their budget process right now, and Bay City was going to be excluded from, not only Bay City, but Bay County was going to be excluded from grant funding, other funding cycles from the state. I don't know on the federal level what would be excluded. There could be already cuts to the federal level. It really is some of these state issues, and it went across the newswire that Bay City was going to not receive funding as a result of this resolution. So I hope that answers your question.
I'm going to ask you, when you say that for the city's safety, when you say that you feel that your veto you're worried about the public safety. When you're saying that you're worried about the public safety and you're vetoing, that's the reason why you also were vetoing this. Are you saying you're worried about the public safety because they are immigrants, the legal ones, or how does this come in effect when it comes to the public safety? Because in Bay City, we have a lot of crime, and I don't see a lot of immigrants here, so I would like you to clarify that statement also.
So the resolution was specific to local dollars spent on local resources. So I was, when I talked to public safety, it's about referring to the actual resolution that was before the commission body. So did residents contact me concerned about impact of public safety by becoming a welcoming city? Yes, absolutely. Do I have my personal feelings about it? Do I think it would impact us one way or another? I personally don't think so, but that doesn't mean that residents can't feel the way they do about public safety, and so that's why I said what I did.
I have one last thing to say, and it's my opinion. When it comes to the police taking care of or being deputized to take care of illegal or legal immigration, the point of that matter is I feel that the government, that's a federal issue, and I think that the federal agency should take care of that. And I feel that our public safety officers should take care of what's within the city. Our funding should be used for our safety, the people of the city. Now, when it comes to arresting illegal and legal immigrants, we have a lot of legal immigrants that come here and help the farmers. They come here every year, farmers send for them, and they've been sending for their families for many years to work. Right now, China has put tariffs on our farming people that farm out in the counties. We stand to lose a lot in Michigan. Our farmers are going to lose a lot. People, all they see is immigration, legal and illegal. Legal, I want you to be here. If you are illegal, if there's means to keep you here, that's fine. Michigan is getting ready to drown because you have people saying, lock them up, lock them up, lock them up, even when they're legal. We need to be welcoming. We don't need to stereotype people, not give them a chance to live and to be free. That's what we need our public safety to do, to stay public safety, to protect us, not to hinder, not to stereotype. We need them to protect our city. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, I agree. All right, any other comments? Commissioner Runberg.
Yeah, I wasn't going to comment at this portion of the meeting regarding this, but since we're talking about it, I do take issue with it being called symbolic because there is concrete actions that are a consequence of this. One being that we wouldn't be deputizing our police officers for a role that they're, one, not trained on, but two, we don't have the resources for, which could potentially open us up to wrongful detention suits, among other issues. The other thing it does is it affirms that we don't and we will not retain any immigration status information. I have people that I know personally who are here legally working on their citizenship right now that are terrified to go outside of their house in our community because of the fact that they don't know what's going to happen. There was just an article out there about a lady who was reporting being assaulted, and because she had an issue with her documentation, instead of the officers helping her, she was detained for deportation. I understand this is a lightning rod issue. I wasn't my intention, but there's really no way around it. Unfortunately, we're all stuck in this wider culture war, whether we like it or not. This was about helping people who live in this community, people that I have on a first-name basis with. And look, we've all seen it. We've all heard the news. We've heard from Columbia University permanent resident Mahmoud Khalil. Apparently wasn't as permanent as he thought. He exercised his First Amendment rights. What did that get him? Same goes for the Tufts University student who had been detained for deportation because all she did was write an op-ed in her college newspaper. If that's not close enough for you, we have at CMU, ICE has been on CMU's campus now. They have revoked the student visas for both current and former members of the university. It's happening. We have people who are, even though they are here legally, are getting their visas revoked. We have people who are here legally who are terrified to go outside of their homes because they don't want to risk anything. I invited one particular resident to share their voice, but they're too afraid to. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And you know, I don't disagree with you. What's going on is disturbing, but at the same token, I'm deeply involved in making sure our city is functioning as a city. And in some of the instances you mentioned, ICE, this policy wasn't going to prevent ICE from happening. That assault document, or the assault story that you referenced, actually, the police had a similar policy as what you proposed. And unfortunately, in spite of the similar policy, she was still detained. So having a policy like this does not prevent what you're mentioning at all with ICE. They're still going to do, because a lot of references, we're going to follow state and federal laws. And so was it worth the risk to put a target and put more people at risk and to risk funding for our community? I thought not. And we're going to decide tonight whether or not the rest of the commission agrees. Any other comment? Commissioner DeWitt.
I'm going to start with my other stuff. 6, 7, and 8 on the proposed officers that we just passed through the consent. 6, having a tree farm at James Clements will be a very interesting thing to see in 10 to 15 years when that comes to maturity. I'm very interested to see how they're going to build that up and work that around. As to number 7, I know last year I asked as a citizen about access to the facilities at Winona Park because of the issues that happened, and was told that there was no real plan at that point, and I'm glad to see we actually have a plan this year for this. Now, the only thing that I don't think has been done is sound equipment. Has that been clarified at all? Because I know sound equipment was not there either.
As far as?
Like there was, from what I understood from talking to someone who helped get some of the acts last year, there was no sound equipment available to even rent at Winona Park. They were told there was nothing available.
There is sound equipment because Mr. Dice has claimed to some of those pieces that the theater had brought over to Winona Park. So there is some sound equipment.
Okay, so that was just a timing thing then between them two.
Yes.
Okay, and then for number 8, for anyone who is not well versed with the very, 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 very south end along the riverfront, this is down by the transparent plastic bag area, and you won't notice it if you don't drive into their parking lot. So this is not getting rid of a residential road. Onto the actual ordinance that we've been talking about, though. The people who have been the most violent vitriol are the ones who have been supportive of the veto, and most of them have not been city residents. And I've been told multiple times by township residents that we need to bow the knee to the townships. Personally, I am tired of the city having to bow to the townships, and if they want to control us, I willingly await their annexation paperwork.
All set, Commissioner? Commissioner Coakley.
Had a lot of residents reaching out from McKinley Street pertaining to the trees that are being removed. I know the answer. I just want the city manager to echo it a little bit. Anybody who wants their trees to be replaced that are cut down, it's free of charge?
It is free of charge. There's, I believe, a link that they can go to that they are provided to choose trees that are acceptable to the city that don't grow very large to make that big canopy going over. It is free in public safety, or I'm sorry, not public safety, they're not doing that. Electric department will install those trees if they contact them. There are some people that choose not to have trees in front of their homes, and that's their choice as well.
I know a lot of residents are unaware that they can ask to have that done once they're removed, and I hear there's quite the selection of trees they have now.
There is. It should have been in all of their paperwork they got from the city as far as the project details. The tree information was provided to them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Tenney.
Thank you. Like some of my colleagues, I wasn't going to comment on this vote either, but here we are. So a couple of things. I think that it behooves us to prioritize what our constituents in the city want. So when it comes to my ward, I've heard overwhelming support for this. I've had one person that was an actual constituent, reportedly, that was against this. So I'm going to represent what my constituents want, and I'm concerned with this patriarchal attitude that we know better than the citizens and that we know better than the majority of a board. Very concerning. Also, we should be prioritizing our constituents over cameras, over aspirations for higher office, over our egos, and certainly prioritizing our constituents over neo-Nazis. So we look at evidence in the communities around us, like CMU that was mentioned, like Grand Valley State, like Jackson. They've had their sheriff's office deputized by ICE. There was a man down by Plymouth, Michigan, who was wrongfully detained by ICE. We see all of these instances going on, and our solution is what? What if we lose? How about we stop asking, what if we lose X, Y, and Z, and start asking, what if we don't fight every doggone day? What if we don't? And also, I would add that this should be a nonpartisan issue, because if you look at a couple of different tenets of conservatism, limiting government in their role and saving money, those are conservative principles. So the fact that this is being spun as some sort of partisan issue is also troubling to me. And I will just close by saying that you should either stand with traditionally marginalized people or stand aside. You should stand with the working class or get out of our way. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Charlebois.
Yes, as I said before, everything can't just come down to money. There's principle. And I think this resolution should be passed. We need one more vote. I wish I could appeal to 4 of you. My uncle was a paratrooper during World War II. He fought at the Battle of the Bulge. He was in the 17th Airborne Division. He jumped into Germany to get rid of a fascist regime. I think I know fascism when I see it, and we're looking at it right now in our country. He died that day. His buddy said he didn't even hit the ground. He was machine gunned before he hit the ground. He gave his life. He was 18 years old. And that's what I feel like we're looking at right now. And you got to make a stand early on. Early on. You can see what's going on. It just doesn't come down to our police helping. You can see where it's going. They're arresting, next thing you know, they're going to be arresting journalists because they did a bad story on them. It's already happening. The immigrant is the boogeyman today. They'll need something to sustain that. They'll be rounding up black women in a minute, or gay people. And you know how I feel. And I feel like we need at least one vote to override this veto and stand up on the right side of it now. Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Prince.
So this is a tough issue. I'm not even quite sure if we're supposed to be talking about it because we're not on special order yet, but I feel like it's worthwhile addressing. If we can name one instance where there was an illegal, and there are a lot of illegal acts by the Trump administration, I'm the first to admit that, I monitor it for work, where this resolution would change what had happened, I'd be much more inclined to support it. But there is not one case in which this resolution would have changed the outcome in someone's case. ICE would have still come into the community, and they still would have arrested someone without due process. This changes none of that. Additionally, if ICE is going to contract with someone, it's likely not going to be the Bay City Police or Public Safety Department. It's going to be the Sheriff's Office because they have jurisdiction over the whole county. They're the ones that have the jail, and they're the ones that hold people. So we aren't likely going to be the ones that get contacted to contract with. So what does this resolution accomplish? Well, it likely disqualifies us from any federal grants that we would apply for going forward for the next for this entire administration, possibly administrations going forward. Disqualifies us receiving any kind of grants from the state through the legislature. It disqualifies nonprofits in the county that are associated with the city just because we have Bay in our name, and they do too in their address, from receiving grants. It disqualifies us from getting, it likely disqualifies us from getting community block grant money, which is directly to help poor people. So when we talk about who we're standing up for, realize that we are directly putting funding at risk that helps poor people, that helps their neighborhoods, helps their parks, make sure that they can pay their utility bills when they need help. So that's my reasons for voting no. I'm very confident in voting no to make sure we have those resources to help those people. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Okay, seeing none, City Manager, do you have comments?
I do. I just wanted to remind everybody that the FOP is holding their police memorial service on Monday, May 12th at 12:30 at the Law Enforcement Center. And also we have the Fire Academy graduation ceremony on July 17th, and that's going to be held at the fire headquarters at Station 1, and that's at 6 p.m. And a quick highlight of 6 of our employees. I wanted to highlight 6 of our linemen that went to Alpena this past week, and they went to help everybody who didn't have power. They were there working side by side with many agencies that were there to rally together to get power back to residents, and some people still don't have power there. They wanted to rebuild, they had to rebuild the electric system last week. So I want to recognize Trevor, Sam, Cody, Mike, and Richard. That was a lot for them to be there. They were working in extreme conditions. I'm sure most of you saw what that town looked like and still looking like. So we just want everybody to know that we are proud of our linemen for their dedication and their willingness to step up. I think they got the call, I think they went at 3 a.m. They got the call to go this past weekend, or not this weekend, but the prior weekend. And are they still there, Adam? Yeah, so they're still there. So just wanted to recognize them. That's it.
All right, thank you. Next order of business calls for public input. Under the rules of the City Commission, each speaker will be allowed 5 minutes to speak. Commissioner Coakley will serve as the timekeeper. This is the opportunity for citizens to address the commission regarding any agenda item or any other matter. If anyone wishes to address the commission, please come forward, print your name on the registration sheet, state your name and address for the record. And I want to reiterate, I want everybody to be respectful tonight. I want to make sure that, I know last meeting we had some folks talk about some racially motivated comments. I'm going to ask that everybody consider not including those in your speech. And hopefully we're all respectful of each other. So go ahead. Make sure it's on, yeah.
This is Paul Kleinhaus, 1713 10th Street. I wrote quite a bit, and then during the closed session I learned a few things, so I'm tossing out some of it to reorganize, but I will talk instead mainly on the veto resolution. It's a veto that we know was fueled by blackmail against the city, as the mayor confirmed, by those who wish to do deportations. We were attacked by external forces. That's the short of it. Pro-deportation county residents calling city commissioners demanding we keep the immigrants out, despite that not being what the resolution's about. People at the podium here expressing initial concerns about funding, only moments later to reveal their real reason for opposition was that they think immigrants are eating the fruit at Meijer. Worse, we were blackmailed by our own rep, Tim Beeson, who has never once come to one of these meetings, nor held a town hall, yet used his position to threaten funding and collaboration if we pass this resolution, which again remind you, we assumed changed no city policy. If this disqualifies us, we are already disqualified from funding because it changes no policy. So if it changes no policy, then we are already disqualified. That's the long and short of it. So if it changes nothing and we're already disqualified in theory, what do you think that means for Tim Beeson to do that if our current policies are so unacceptable? Do you not think that means he plans to force us to change them down the road, and that's why we are not allowed to have this firewall? Are we just planning to roll over when he does eventually ask us to do so? When he does threaten road funding on changing our current policy to the policy he actually wants us to have? I'm sure the commissioners and mayors also know of other sorts of blackmail they received that they have not released to the public. I encourage them to do so, to tell us things that they have lost, whether it being other sort of funding or committee positions or wherever, to show how low those who wish to turn our safety officers into ICE agents will stoop in order to remove those they deem undesirable. So with the above in mind, I ask, if not this resolution, then what instead? If you agree it's disturbing, the things that are happening, then what are we doing instead? Are we just going to let it happen? On March 31st, the Detroit Free Press reported a story on a woman named Veronica, who in February called the police after a coworker threw her to the ground and hit her in the face. The cops who took the call ended up reporting her immigration status to federal authorities. A month later, ICE agents in plain clothes and unmarked vehicles tracked her down, broke her vehicle window, pulled her out of the car, and took her. Local police claimed they had no idea they were alerting ICE. If true, it's a rather costly and permanent accident that surely we don't also want to make. If not this resolution, then what instead? On April 5th, the Free Press ran a story on Ramiro Martinez, an American citizen, a handyman, immigration advocate. He was assisting a court case when ICE agents running an enforcement operation, their words, surrounded him while he went to check on his dog in the car. They ordered him to the ground immediately without asking him to show ID, knelt on him, cuffed him, pulled a taser, laughed at his claims they had the wrong guy until about 5 minutes later when ICE finally realized they'd grabbed a citizen. I quote, "Oh shit, he's a citizen." I wonder, for what purposes did they bag this Latino man without allowing him to defend himself? What enforcement operation operates this way? How many mistakes like this do they make in a week, where a brown man is slammed to the ground and cuffed for simply existing? Surely we don't want to also make that. If not this resolution, then what instead? In Jackson County, the sheriff's office is doing exactly what this resolution would prevent our DPS from doing. Their sheriff's office is signing up for the 287G program. I recognize we are not the sheriff. We are just drawing a line. What are we going to do, which is different than what the sheriff is going to do? If the sheriff wants to do that, they're welcome to do so. What do we want to do? Anyone making a call to the police in that county now have to consider very carefully what they and their neighbors look like and what they sound like. And will that particular officer making that call decide to detain them for it? Maybe they need to carry a birth certificate at all times simply for being brown. If not this resolution, then what instead? There's no escaping what's coming. This is not a symbolic resolution. I will show you shortly, I have learned one very specific thing it does. So the thing I learned in closed session is I wanted these questions asked of the Director of Public Safety and the City Manager. Actually asked the Director of Public Safety these questions during the closed session.
Time.
Commissioner Tenney.
Move to extend the speaker's time by 2 minutes.
Is there a second? Commissioner Runberg?
Second.
Is there any objection? Is there any objection? Commissioner Morris?
I object.
Okay, roll call vote on the objection.
The vote will be a yes or a no. Do you want to offer the speaker 2 extra minutes? Commissioner DeWitt?
Yes.
Runberg?
Yes.
Charlebois?
Yes.
Morris?
No.
Prince?
Yes.
Coakley?
Yes.
Bernie?
Yes.
Tenney?
Yes.
Hilliker?
Yes.
8 yes.
Okay, the speaker has 2 more minutes.
Thank you. So, summarizing, I wanted to ask the manager when, besides I-9 forms, is immigration checked? Is that info stored somewhere? And can they change that storage or collection policy without the commission consent? This would be really good to know. I hope it gets confirmed during the session. Focusing on 2 and 3 here for the director, I asked, any plans to join a 287G program? He confirmed last week, no, just re-asking. I asked, can he join without commission consent? He wasn't 100% sure, but he was pretty sure all that would run through the city manager, city commission. We're probably good there. I asked what resources we shared if, say, the sheriff does sign a 287G program. Again, they could operate the jail in that way. We would send people to that jail with no intent of checking their status. It could get checked anyways. We wouldn't have anything to do with it, but we also would not bear responsibility. It's a hard line. It's their thing. They run it. But here's the one thing that the resolution would change. And you can ask the director to speak to this. I spoke about the story about the lady who reported the assault on her, and she was deported because she reported an assault on her. Now, whether the officer did that intentionally because he thought he was a vigilante, or because he did it accidentally, not understanding how his own programs worked, it was still against the local policy of that department. I asked, do we have any sort of similar policy here? The director said, in response to my question of what discipline, if any, would go to an officer who broke such a rule and got someone deported for reporting a crime against them, he said, nothing. There is no rule. There is no penalty. Nothing would happen to that officer. So if it's not the thing they actually want to do, they don't want all their officers running that, but they also don't block them from doing that, and there's no punishment if anyone who does do that, then it's allowed. It's just a thing we can do. Like any officer at any time could just start running these things about anyone who reports a crime, and then oops, there they go off into an ICE van. That one thing would be blocked.
Thank you.
Galen Rand, 305 North Winona. I'm here to talk about the resolution that was vetoed. A lot has happened in this country since in the last few weeks, and I have a lot to say about it. Though myself and my fellow community members are here for only one aspect of what's been happening. I will say this about the whole of the situation. We have not been overreacting. We are not paranoid. We can see what this regime is capable of. The time to act is slipping through our fingers. People are being detained without due process. There are credible reports of people being taken off the streets in broad daylight by masked individuals in civilian clothes and unmarked vehicles. One of these people was sent to prison in El Salvador due to what the regime is calling an administrative error, and the courts are currently saying they have no jurisdiction to bring this person back to the United States. Not only does this mean that ICE and those who support ICE can basically kidnap anyone, anywhere, it also opens doors for those who are in human trafficking trade. And honestly, when you really look at what ICE is doing and where they're sending these people, that's basically what's going on. People disappeared to never be heard from again. That's what the regime wants. They don't want them to return. They're treating them like the weekly garbage you set on the corner. They've started with immigration, or immigrants. Do you think that they're going to stop there? Do you think they won't end up disappearing anyone they don't like or those who don't align with the regime's ideals? If this is allowed to continue, anyone from the Two-Spirit LGBTQIA+ community, allies, teachers, artists, social workers, doctors, students, government workers, and officials, anyone, literally anyone, can be detained and sent away. Is this what you want to align yourselves with? Is this the kind of country you want to be a part of? I sure as hell don't. I'm extremely disappointed in the mayor's decision to veto this resolution. In the grand scheme of things, this isn't just about making our city a safe and welcoming city for immigrants, it's about making the city safe and welcoming for everyone. I didn't stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance throughout my childhood school years, which ends with, "and liberty and justice for all," so I could stand here now and watch this happen to our nation, to its people. This is not right, and if you choose the side of this regime, then you are also against the people. And when I say people, yes, I also mean the ones who voted for Trump. Fascism has no boundaries, and it has no mercy, even for those who voted for it. Befriending it is a fool's errand, as it can turn on you in the blink of an eye. Just ask the American farmers. They don't care about the people they're supposed to be serving. They don't care about the planet or the beings on it. They don't care about laws. They don't care about the Constitution. They don't care about the government installations and proper funding that goes in them. They don't care about repercussion. All they do care about is money and power, and they will destroy whatever it takes to attain both. They've proven that since our last gathering here. The money everyone is depending upon is not coming, and state and local government should be prepared for that. Self-sufficiency is where it's going to have to be at. Even if there were a chance that funding wouldn't be cut, if this were not overturned, is it really worth siding with leaders who can disappear anyone? That means anyone in this city, not just immigrants, but friends, family, your constituents. Can you side with the regime and be okay with that? If this resolution is nothing but symbolism to the mayor, is that the symbolism that you want? It's not about right versus left anymore. We have a moral obligation. It's about right and wrong. And what's happening in Washington is wrong. The states, cities, towns, and the people have to make decisions now, and I mean right now. I pray for the sake of all our citizens, you make the right one, because there are some out there who have chosen to bend the knee, and the populations of those locations are suffering for it. I absolutely do not want to see that happen here. Please stand with us, fight with us. Our future and the future of our children depends on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trevor Layla Shore, 405 Northampton. I wrote a short statement, and then based off of some of the communications that happened earlier in the meeting, I'd like to make some comments. When I stood at this podium last, I spoke about the importance of community and who makes it, regardless of their legal status. Today, I'd like to speak on a similarly prescient and bipartisan topic of self-governance. Commissioners, I urge you to take note of the constituents of this room. I urge you to listen to the voices of the citizenry who showed the initiative and investment in their community to come in and take place in a conversation that will affect the state of our city. I want to specifically highlight the phrase, our city. DC and its left and right hands don't know nor care for Bay City. They don't know nor care for the business owners, the police officers, the school teachers, and they especially don't care about our bridges. We do because we have personal stake. It is the duty of the locally affected officials to represent the will of their wards and constituency. Do we want to strip that power from the majority rule of our own officials and allow the federal government to threaten us into making decisions that majority did not want to make? I love my city. I feel at home in my city, I feel safe in my city, and I invest in it. So does everyone in this room, especially you, commissioners. I beg you to strongly consider if you'd like to set the precedent that our democratic process can be trumped by fear of repercussions that, regardless of the result of this meeting, go against our best interests. Secondly, I'd like to address your comments specifically, Commissioner Prince, and I promise I mean no disrespect by this. Do we want specifically to side? I apologize, this is off the cuff, so it might not be as eloquent as I'd like it to be. You said that you understand and believe in the illegal acts that the Trump administration is enacting, and I believe that you do. That makes me believe that you also are a student of history. I ask, how fondly do we look upon collaborators? No matter what the reason that they collaborated, how fondly do we look upon collaborators in recognition that this goes beyond Bay City? And I understand that this is specifically in reference to our city. This is what we have control over, and it is specifically because we have control over this that we need to take a stand and say, this is our community, we have governance here, we are not going to allow these decisions to be made. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wayne Barth, 1200 11th Street. just made a short note. Thank you. These problems were caused by a prior administration considering the spike in illegal entry. And this needs to be cleaned up quickly, efficiently, and I'm sorry. Yeah. And delays in that process expose the intent to break federal laws. If I get this right, you want funds for the police department, but at the same time you're risking federal funds for other things, and that's a risky situation and a no-win. And God bless the beautiful people of different cultures that get caught between the laws and the illegal. But these laws have to be enforced to protect the citizens of this constitutional republic. Please do not override this veto. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Josh Rogner from 224 Lagoon Beach Drive. I prepared a little speech here. Let's see, before I start, my grandpa fought in World War II against the Nazis, and I learned a lot from him. We're not going to go away. This won't stop. I was at the April 5th protest in Saginaw, volunteering, and we'll only grow stronger. And I felt the air change that day. So with that said, friends, neighbors, fellow residents of Bay City, we gather today to talk about the heart of our community. Not just the bricks and mortar, not just the river running through it, but the spirit that defines us. And we face a choice about what that spirit will be. I believe fundamentally that Bay City thrives when it is a welcoming community, a place where everyone, regardless of their background, their beliefs, their struggles, or where they came from, feels they have a place, where diversity isn't just tolerated, it is celebrated as the source of our strength, our resilience, our vibrancy. A welcoming community is one where we look out for each other, where empathy guides our actions, and where we recognize our shared humanity. Now, I want to share something personal, because this isn't abstract for me. I live with schizophrenia. There have been times in my life when the world felt fractured, when stability seemed impossible, when holding down a job was beyond my capacity due to my illness. During those incredibly vulnerable times, it was Medicaid that provided the lifeline I needed. It allowed me to access doctors, medication, and the support that helped me regain my footing. And let me be crystal clear. This is not about money. This is about what that support represents. It represents a community saying, we see you, we understand that illness, hardship, vulnerability can touch anyone, and we will not let you fall through the cracks alone. Medicaid in that moment was the tangible proof of a community choosing compassion, choosing to uphold the dignity of one of its members. That is what a truly welcoming community does. It builds systems, formal and informal, grounded in mutual care. And that is precisely why we must be vigilant. Why we must actively hold fascism and the hatred and division it breeds in check. Because fascism is the antithesis of a welcoming community. It seeks to divide us, to pit neighbor against neighbor. It thrives on fear and scapegoating. It tells people that some belong and others do not. It targets the vulnerable, the different, the marginalized, the very people a compassionate community pledges to support. It whispers lies that solidarity is weakness, that cruelty is strength. It seeks to dismantle the empathy that binds us, replacing it with suspicion and hostility. When we allow fascist ideologies, ideas rooted in exclusion, discrimination, and the suppression of dissent to gain traction, we are actively undermining the very foundation of Bay City's potential. We erode trust, we make our neighbors feel unsafe, we betray that promise of community care that systems like Medicaid at their best represent. We betray the very idea that everyone here has inherent worth. Holding fascists in check isn't about restricting legitimate debate. It's about refusing to normalize hatred. It's about standing up clearly and unequivocally for the values of inclusion, respect, and mutual support. It's about ensuring that Bay City remains a place where someone like me facing a health crisis finds support, not suspicion. Where newcomers are greeted with curiosity, not contempt. Where diversity is our strength, not a point of division. So let us commit together right here, right now. Let's commit to being that welcoming Bay City. Let's speak out against the hate when we see it. Let's support our neighbors, especially the most vulnerable. Let's strengthen the bonds of community that fascism seeks to sever. Let's teach our children the values of empathy and respect. Let Bay City be known not just for its history or its landmarks.
Commissioner Runberg.
Move to provide the speaker 2 more minutes.
Is there a second? Commissioner Tenney?
Second.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, the speaker has 2 more minutes.
Thank you. I'm almost done. Let Bay City be known not just for its history or landmarks, but for its heart. A heart that is open, compassionate, and fiercely protective of everyone who calls this place home. Let's stand united against division and ensure that spirit of welcoming, the spirit of mutual care defines our future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. My name is Debbie Rogers, and I would like for you guys to vote against ISIS because basically I think ISIS is racist and it's for hate. It serves as a hatred for me. I think you start out with the immigrants, but immigrants built America. And I think it'll start out there, but then I might be the next one, and I think that we should not be bullied or forced into something that we really don't need. And Commissioner Prince, you said that it's for the poor people. Well, they're already cutting out Medicaid, Medicare, our school system, and everything. So I don't understand how you can say us voting for this would be good for us, because actually it wouldn't. We're letting people come in and take over our city. Bay City is a beautiful place to stay and to live, and I think we don't need somebody coming in telling us how to run our city and what we can do and can't do. I think it'll bring more fear than anything. It won't bring love, it'll bring more fear, and we don't want that in Bay City. We don't want people to be scared to come out of their house, and I don't want to be afraid to come out of their house, my house. It might say immigrants now, but it's not going to be immigrants later. It's going to be people that's gay, people that don't look like them or act like them or don't talk like them. It could be my grandchildren, it can be me, and I just don't think we need it. And government funding, or you're talking about the federal funding, or you look around, everything is being cut. Like, they want us to vote next month on school funding, where Benson agreed to cut 25% of the school funding. So I don't think that we should be bullied or threatened to do something that we really don't need. And frankly, commissioners and the mayor and everything, no disrespect, but we voted you people in, and we can vote you out. We voted you in because we thought that you was going to feel like we feel and take care of us. But apparently, that's not what's happening. So I just want you guys to know, too, all the politicians, like we voted you in, we can vote you out. But I don't think we need ISIS. I just don't. I think ISIS is racist, and I think it's just about hatred. So I don't think we need to have it in our setting.
Thank you.
Nicole Gross, 3102 West Shore Drive. I didn't have any intentions of coming up today, but I want to address a couple things. The first thing, I saw your statement when it came out on Facebook, and I read through it. And to people that might not be following this, it seemed logical. But I did hear something in that you were prioritizing the concerns of residents that wish to remain anonymous over the residents who actually attended the commission meetings and signed and stated their names and addresses to make their feelings known for public comment. And this isn't even including all the people that contacted the commissioners. So I feel like you're prioritizing, or the reason for your decision is prioritizing people that didn't follow the process of coming here and voicing their opinions. And I don't actually know how many people contacted you, because you're just saying this anonymous amount of people and all of their concerns. That's a little bit concerning, because the commission's role is to represent the people. And I feel that many of them, not all of them, have, especially with the vote. It would be nice if there'd be one more vote. But that's that issue. I also actually have the article that everybody's been bringing up about the woman down in Van Buren Township, with the Van Buren Township Police Department. I'd like to read this from it because nobody's brought up this issue. This is quoted by Hubert Williams, the former president of the Police Foundation. In communities where people fear the police, very little information is shared with officers, undermining the police capacity for crime control and quality service delivery. As a result, these areas become breeding grounds for drug trafficking, human smuggling, terrorist activity, and other serious crimes. That was in response to the fact that people who are not considered legal immigrants, who may be assaulted or have a crime committed against them, won't feel safe enough to stand up for themselves or report the crime. My fear, especially in the Tri-City area and with the issues that we all face in all three of these cities, is that people are going to take advantage of that. That fear of not coming forward is going to leave more victims. It's not going to lessen it. It's not going to make here more safe, because it'll be easier to victimize people who are afraid of coming forward. And I represent the poor community, so I'm like one of the many representations of the poor community in this city. I was born and raised here, and thought I would get out, and I'm back, and I'm struggling as I was before. I don't really understand where you're coming from, that we want to protect funding for poor people when there was none. For 4 of my years in homelessness, 3 of them were spent here. And I would call 211 because that's everybody's go-to call, 211. And 211 would refer me to churches and to nonprofits and to all these agencies that were supposed to help somebody in my situation because I was qualified. And they would go, I don't know why our number was given or why it's being listed. We don't have any funding, we don't have any funding. And it didn't matter what time of the year. I knew when the fiscal money came in. I got on it, I called them, it was the same thing. I didn't receive help. I'm a poor person. And I think if poor people received help here in Bay City, we wouldn't have such a problem with the homeless. People that are poor are backsliding into homelessness. People that are working full-time jobs are right on the precipice of homelessness, okay? So this whole, I don't want to cut the funding. What is the funding for? Because I am a poor person and I haven't received any help. Not unless somebody's, nominated me for Christmas help. I get help maybe once a year. But I haven't received utility assistance. I haven't received rental assistance. And the more that I try to work and take care of myself and my family and provide for myself and not be dependent, the less help there actually is out there, and I'm still in need of it. So I get a little annoyed with this, we're doing this because we don't want to cut funding. The funding, if it was actually supporting anything here, our city wouldn't be dealing with these issues with homelessness and poverty the way they are. So that's what I'd like to say about that. I don't agree with you, but that's how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I need to ask a question before I even sign in. I actually live just outside the city. Am I allowed?
Anybody's allowed to speak, just state your name and address. And
All right, that's all I wanted to know. Scott Doyen, 2371 Dwys Road. I am actually a contractor, and I do probably 80% of my work in the city of Bay City. And I hear a lot of people fear-mongering and taking and letting their emotions drive their thoughts of what they want to happen here. And I've had discussions with other people that I am very grateful that you vetoed the resolution. And the reason why is because you're going to get these people coming here who are not legal citizens. They cannot get a builder's license. They do not have any insurances that I have to pay for. I have workers' comp. I have my liability insurance and my builder's license. And these people are going to come here and they are going to be stealing jobs from me because I have to get the license, and these people are going to be bidding way less than I can because they don't have any of it. Now we need to really think about this because we have these businesses in place already, and it's already a lot of people that are fighting for the same job. So I think we need to step back and not look at that you're being mean to anybody. All it is we're trying to make sure that everything that we have here in Bay City gets to get what it deserves. And that's the money for the grants for the county that we're going to be cut because of becoming a welcoming city. And we don't need to lose money. And I hear people saying, well, what are we going to lose? Well, there's a whole bunch of projects that the county is actually trying to get funding for. They have the dredging of the Coquitlam River. That's a $1.9 million grant to help get the watershed. That money would be gone. And there's a lot of good jobs that come to town with that dredging of that river. It's actually the largest watershed in southern Michigan, with all the arbitraries of the water that runs out of here. Now, again, Mayor, I applaud you for your veto, and I hope that the other 4 stay strong.
thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Frank Vandenbroek, 607 North Lincoln. This resolution is offensive and an insult to the police department. We had the public safety director tell us that no officers are deputized by ICE, nor will they be. The police department does not stop and frisk. They do not ask people for proof of citizenship when talking to them or in a traffic stop. We have a very professional and dedicated police department. They don't need to be told how to do the job, especially by somebody who's never been on the job. Some of the ramifications of this resolution, we're going to lose the loss of state and federal funding. It will affect the police and fire departments, the electrical and water systems, the roadways, and the schools. It will affect Bay County along with Bay City. It will reflect our relations with surrounding counties and cities. Now, to replace these lost monies, would probably be an increase in taxes, and causing people and businesses to move out of Bay City. Our job as commissioners, you're supposed to protect taxpayers and residents of Bay City, not make life difficult and expensive for them. I applaud your veto. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Matt on Marsac, here to speak again. I'm here to speak in support of the resolution. I think the resolution makes a lot of sense. As a history teacher, I'm begging you to look at the signs around you. That I understand your very legitimate concerns about losing money for the state, for this administration, but I am talking about a better world for your children and your grandchildren, and I applaud Councilperson Runberg for planting trees in whose shade he will clearly never sit. I don't think he's going to be profiled or arrested by ICE. He might look Canadian. I don't know if he's got a little maple on his breath. You have no idea. You'd have no idea. But I am asking the people on this board. I know you guys are good people. I know Mr. Prince is a good person and that Miss Hilliker is a good person. And I don't know Craig or Cordell, but I'd be happy to meet you guys. I'm very pleasant. I'm good with coffee. Fun. Okay, enough about me. You guys, I know you guys have the moral integrity to see what is wrong with this administration, the crimes they're doing, the fact that they are letting themselves, an illegal immigrant Elon Musk, destroy the jobs and the livelihoods of your fellow countrymen is disgusting. And I know that if you guys fight, stand up with your backbone, support this thing, show the people of this city, of this state, that you guys are willing to stand up and fight, and that as democratic people, you guys are willing to take action against this. I mean it. The Democrats, you guys get hammered because, Kamala, she tried to run to the right of Trump on certain issues like immigration, like supporting the genocide in Gaza. If you act, people will stand by you and support you. If you do nothing, this fascism, this monstrous apathy will devour you. And that, who, can I cuss? Okay, no, I can't. She couldn't? Who's she? Oh, she couldn't? That's bullshit. Okay. I'm sorry, but who the fuck is Timmy Benson blackmailing our mayor? I'm sorry, mister, you're my mayor. If anybody blackmails you, tell me next time. I'll try to deal with it. But Jesus fucking Christ, who the fuck blackmails our city? I don't know who Timmy Benson is, but I hope he chokes on a bag of dicks and dies.
Thank you.
Let's try not to have that be common practice. Thank you.
I don't know how to go after that. My name is Zoe Schwab. I'm kind of on the outskirts of the city. I'm at 2871 Boy Scout Road, but I wasn't planning on speaking. I didn't honestly know I could speak, and I didn't really prepare anything, and I'm a little nervous, but I think it's important to speak at times like this, even when you don't want to, even when you're scared to, even if you think that people around you aren't going to hold you into their highest regards for it. My only concern, well, I have a lot of concerns, but the one at the forefront of my mind is, when did we stop being a community? I feel like the American way of individualization has made us all so selfish in the way of, this is my money, this is my property, this is my life, and no one's gonna take it away from me. When it used to be, this is our life, this is our town, this is our city, and we work together. And anyone who comes in and tries to take it away from us isn't gonna be able to do that because we stand up together. I understand that there's divide in a lot of things right now, but I've seen Bay City from such a strong place. And that's when everyone stands up together and says, this is our city and no one's gonna take this from us. We're not that city, we're not this city, we're Bay City. We're strong in what we do, we know what we do, and we work together as a team to figure it out. When we stand alone as a person and look at these things personally, I feel like it becomes one way or another. But when we look at everything as a group, and when we stand together as a group, everything becomes so easy. And I think as a group, we need to stand up for everyone. Not just stand up for us, not just stand up for our lives simply, but to stand up for everyone's lives. Because everyone deserves to be in a place like Bay City. And I don't want to see people afraid to be in Bay City. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Vincent, 619 North Lincoln. I see family, friends in front of me, and I've seen some behind me. I've lived in Bay City for 35 years now. So please know that every word that I'm about to say, I do so with the utmost respect. And if some of you are going to disagree with me, and if it seems I'm being disrespectful, please at least know that I purposely waited until the TV guy left. 2 months ago, it seemed to be in Bay City that no one was worrying about illegal immigrants committing crimes in Bay City. 2 months ago, nobody in Bay City was worried about illegal immigrants being in Bay City. Last month, the current President of the United States presented Bay City with two choices: pay for ICE officers to sweep your town and share your resources to do it, or all of your federal funding will be cut. We all saw the news this past month. 238 supposed Venezuelan gangsters, hands and legs shackled, heads pushed to the ground so their faces could not be seen, stuffed onto planes, and shipped to a prison in El Salvador, near the Earth's equator. We might have heard the administration's own admission that at least 44 of those men had no criminal records. At least 44. We might have heard the current administration rationalize this on record by explaining that, quote, the fact that they have no criminal records only goes to show that they are skilled criminals. We might have heard the only evidence the administration has offered to the public thus far is that the men had tattoos which resembled those worn by Venezuelan gang members. Tattoos. We heard just 3 weeks ago that a former prison in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, notorious for its own abuses, is scheduled to reopen immediately as a for-profit immigration detention facility. A for-profit immigration detention facility. Now again, I have a question to pose to the commission, and I promise you I do so with the utmost respect, particularly for commissioners. When you begin to see your fellow citizens dragged from their homes, shackled, stuffed on planes or buses, and shipped to a detention facility in the Upper Peninsula, will you feel terrible and take the guilt to your graves? Some human beings do that. Or will you do the other human thing? Rationalize it. Will you click your tongues and say, well, they must have been guilty of something? Will you plead weakness? Well, the surrounding cities were doing it too. What choice did we have? We couldn't afford to do the right thing. Will you plead ignorance? Gee, I really didn't think they'd do it. Will you plead politics? The majority that I spoke with said they wanted me to let them in. Who was I to defy them? Will you play the bully victim? ICE was going to come anyway. Why not save the money and give them the support they demanded? Will you help spread the paranoia? If we didn't help the president terrorize our fellow citizens, we might have been overrun by the monsters he speaks about every day. I think this is the oldest political con in the world. Choice A, give me your principles.
Commissioner Prince.
Motion to extend by 2 minutes.
Okay, Commissioner Coakley.
Second.
Any objection? Seeing none, you have 2 more minutes.
Thank you. The oldest con in the world. Choice A, give me your principles, your integrity, money you can't afford, and resources you can't spare to do something that you know in your minds and your hearts is wrong. Or choice B, face total disaster. The most heartbreaking part of the con is that once they've got the integrity and the principles, they take the rest anyway. Every single time. What can we do? Maybe the only thing we can do is choose not to help them. And if they wreak total disaster upon us, all we can do is make them wear it. 2 months ago, nobody in this community was worried about illegal immigrants committing crimes in Bay City. 2 months ago, no one in this community was worried about illegal immigrants being in Bay City. Then the president put that political knife to our throats and said, you will help me terrorize your community or I will gut your community. My Christian friends sometimes have a saying, and it's an expression called the deal with the devil. This seems like the textbook definition of that. Please don't make the deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dale Gizak, and even though I was told by commissioners today that I do not have a voice because I am not a city resident.
You need to state your address.
2285 Baltel Road, Linwood, Michigan. I was told today by a couple commissioners I did not have a voice today because I was a county resident. But I was born in Mercy Hospital, I lived and played in Bay City all my life. I'm a 25-year union mechanic, working in the city of Bay City, for the city of Bay City. So I do feel I have a voice. I'm also a vet. But what I want to ask you today is, what does the word illegal mean? Are we going to overlook illegal? So is it going to be legal to illegally commit a murder? I mean, where is it going to stop? How do we teach our kids? I mean, illegal is illegal. And I am not against immigration whatsoever. Come in through the front door, not under the fence. I just want you guys to think before you vote on this, analyze the word illegal, and let's stay with the law. I mean, where will it stop? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's John George. I live on 3289 Wilder Road. And I'd like to just say that when you let criminals get away with things, they go to do something else different, more. And I can say that I'm a living testament to that fact. My first crime, I was 10 years old, 1976, strong-arm robbery from a kid. I stole his bike because he had something that I wanted because I couldn't afford it. I was poor. He was teasing me. It wasn't my intent to take it at first, but I couldn't take the tease. I was done. But I didn't get in no trouble. I had 6 months non-reporting probation. I was like, wow. I'll do anything I want. I ain't gonna get in no trouble. I got a spanking. I got grounded. I went out and did it again. Guess what? I got a year non-reporting probation the next time. I was like, wow, this is great. I ain't got no ramification. I can go out and keep committing crimes, and if I do get caught, all I get is a spanking. Who gives a shit? Then I started going into drugs, alcohol. I just kept going until I became one violent, evil son of a bitch. Well, I'm on parole right now for being that person. And it sickens me that while I was in prison, in every illegal, it doesn't matter if you were Mexican, Chinese, black, whatever. You were in there. Know what you were in there for? Rape. Rape of a little child. That's what they were in there for. I watched hundreds of these guys come into prison, and you as a taxpayer are telling me that I'm going to pay for a guy like that to come in this country and stay here? You're nuts. Wake up. You are fucking delusional. I'm done.
Can we watch the language, please?
Good evening. I'm a little disappointed to be back here again, speaking on this.
Name and address for the record.
Carolyn Coloris, 821 Southeast Bowtel. I'm disappointed to be back here again, talking about this again. I am very proud of our commissioners for voting in support of the resolution. I'm disappointed in the veto. I'm not going to tell you that immigrants are people with fully fledged hopes, dreams, fears, and ambitions, and that immigrants make our community stronger. You know these things. You are reasonable people with a conscience and a soul. I do believe that. We cannot wait for there to be a problem for us to then scramble to put something in place to protect our citizens. Do not wait. Commissioner Morris, Commissioner Hilliker, Commissioner Prince, Commissioner Coakley. Speaking on a point that our community member Paul said, what is our plan? If not this plan, I want you to think about this. What is our plan? I know there's the big scary threat from our federal government that they could potentially pull funding, which they already are. They would have to do the same to Lansing, Ann Arbor, Detroit, Grand Rapids, and Bay City, Michigan. I want you to think about the funding is going away anyway. And what is the plan to protect our citizens from these horrors that we are hearing about and are happening? They are happening. I'm not trying to scare us. I'm not trying to scare people, fearmonger. I just encourage you today to have courage and say, you know what? I know this is right. I know this is right. And I know there's a big scary threat of the funding being pulled. And that's kind of what I've heard from the consensus from the last meeting. I just encourage you, please have courage. You know what the right thing is to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Bree Melton, and I live at 306 Caroline. I'm here, of course, to discuss the resolution as it appears everybody else is. And I just want to express my sincere disappointment that I have to be up here again today. As the final decision is being made tonight, I want to make something clear. This is our chance to do the right thing by our immigrant neighbors. Since the last time we convened in this room, it's become all the more apparent as to why we need this resolution in place. And to illustrate exactly what I mean, I'd like to discuss the case of, and forgive me if I'm mispronouncing this name, Turkish is not my first language, but Rumeysa Öztürk, a Turkish woman legally residing in the United States on an F1 student visa. I would like to emphasize that Ms. Öztürk was here legally for the apparent crime of co-authoring an op-ed in her university newspaper a year ago that our presidential administration just so happened to disagree with. She was detained on March 25th by plainclothes police officers and stuffed into an unmarked van. Even an onlooker asked if the proceedings were a kidnapping, because that is exactly what it looked like. Ms. Öztürk went missing for 24 hours with not even her lawyer knowing where she was until it was revealed that she had been moved to a Louisiana ICE detention center 1,500 miles away from her Boston apartment. She remains in ICE detention to this day. This is obviously a flagrant violation of Öztürk's First Amendment right of free expression, but it is also a dangerous precedent that is being set. And it's something that could very easily happen here in the not too distant future. This is not the only story of this kind that has been reported on, and we are less than 3 months into this presidential administration. Make no mistake, if ICE can detain a legal US resident, a Fulbright scholar, an Ivy League university graduate for exercising her First Amendment right, you can be damn sure that this will escalate until not a single person in this room is safe to speak freely. Just a 2-hour drive from where I stand here tonight, Jackson became the first county in Michigan to allow their local police force to be deputized by ICE. That is far too close for comfort, and it should serve as a wake-up call to all the officials in this room. I don't want what happened to Ms. Öztürk to happen to even one more soul, not in my country and certainly not in my hometown. To our elected officials, you can make an honorable decision here tonight by passing this resolution once and for all, or you could be forced to make a morally repugnant one in the weeks and months to come. I hope you vote with humanity in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is DeLorean King, 305 North Winona. Commissioners, manager, clerk, Mr. Mayor. I bring into this chamber a piece of America that I hope against hope, is not yet dead. My grandfather, Daniel Eli King, he committed an illegal act when he was a fair bit younger than I am now. He lied about his age at the Army recruiter's office in order to fight the Nazis. He flew bomber escort in a P-51D over the European theater. He watched Dresden burn. He had mechanical trouble and became a prisoner of war in Stalag Luft I. Never did he break. He was eventually liberated and sired my father among all of my other aunts and uncles. They lived happily. My grandfather lived to be a full century-year old. He died on my 29th birthday, and I am equally saddened and relieved that he is not alive to see the cowardice I see in this nation over the past few months, if not years. On my hat is a casing from his 21-gun salute. I wear this hat every day to keep his memory nearby. And I believe my commissioner, Mr. Charlebois here, named it correctly when he said that the creeping rot appearing to be encroaching on our doorstep is indeed fascism. The very same fascism that my grandfather fought and nearly died trying to destroy. And Mr. Tenney over here also said it, that this veto is an artifact of patriarchy with regards to making decisions for us that we'd rather not have made for us. And I looked at your statement, Mr. Gerard. I read it. I read it very intently, and I listened very intently. And I must say with great disappointment that I will not be lectured by cowardice, as my grandfather was not lectured by cowardice either. I can only hope that the commission here agrees with my sentiment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here we are again. John Davidson. Bay City, Michigan, of course.
What's your exact address?
1218 Marsac, sir. Thank you for reminding me. I too read your veto. I applaud it. And I would like to say to the four that stood with you to stand on your morals on this. Don't let these people come up to you and say that you got to vote this way, you got to vote this way because of some fear-mongering Washington, D.C. This is Bay City. We do what we want here. And I know from a fact in the 6th Ward, the people that I've talked to at a restaurant on Broadway says no way that this should have even been brought to the table. Talking to a fellow member Democrat, and I don't mean partisan here, said he was at the meeting when a few commissioners said that they were going to bring this forward. The party said, table it. This is not a road you want to go down, gentlemen. I hear fear-mongering and fascists in D.C. and The fascism's here. Who is the person calling who a fascism? Is the person that's saying fascism is the fascism? Got to follow me. I would like just to say to the four that stood against this, to stay against it. My heart went out to the young lady that said she's partially homeless or still homeless. Where are you going to get your money if these places can't get their funding because of a resolution like this? And anybody else that comes into this community that look for funding. I'm not talking.
Please, you can't address the crowd.
Yep.
That's looking for funding to feed their kids. What happens if these organizations lose their funding? No, they haven't. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you guys hear me okay? Jeff Doyen, 1105 Broadway. Been in business in Bay City 35 years. Love my city. Stand up for my city any day of the week. Have no problem. Hardworking, hard work effort always pays off. Looking at the sign up there, 1865, 160 years ago, the whole world was a different place. The Wild West was won by law and order. It's hilarious to me that we're even having this discussion. Why? We have 4 police officers in the building for a city hall meeting. And yet, we don't have the funds of an officer already being on duty to send somebody back to another country who broke the law to get here in the first place. This is the most absurd thing I've ever heard. Being in business, it would be as bad as you, Mayor, not having a pencil, but you couldn't take it off the manager's desk because you got to write something down. That's how crazy this is. My wife is an immigrant. She came here legally. There's a huge difference of somebody coming here legally and an illegal immigrant getting sent back, especially after committing some heinous crime in our society. And what do I mean with that? Whether it was rape, whether it was a B&E, whether it was a drunk driver, any of that. If somebody's status is not correct, back to law and order, I'll get off just a tiny bit of the track here. I cannot just grab a chair and slide it up next to the end and say, I'm a commissioner. Why? Because we have law and order. If somebody had a visa, whether it's an F visa, if it's an S visa, whatever visa, they are not a citizen, and they are supposed to uphold certain laws, not participate in trying to wreak havoc on a college campus. Okay? So when people are like, oh, well, we should be worried, oh, we should this, that, oh, we should just open the doors. No, we don't need to open the doors. Why? Because 9/11 happened. The whole world changed on 9/11. People we thought would be okay to come here, all of a sudden the entire world now asks everybody for a visa. Come legally. Try to come here with right paperwork. I've been to other countries, and each time you go into another country, you have to fill out paperwork. Other countries, over the last 4 years, had a lot of common sense. And that common sense was, if I can empty my jails of thousands of people and not have to babysit them, not have to feed them, clothe them, medical them, because I can shove them to the United States border And it'll be okay because they're willing to take them. Because we had an administration that said, oh, come on in. We're not going to ask you who you are. And these are the people that are on the way out the door. We've been crying for 4 years that they shouldn't be here. Who in their right mind would ever import a poverty class knowing they wouldn't be able to take care of themselves? And at whose expense? Us, the taxpayer. We don't need the nonsense. Let them go home. Let us take our resources and stick it into the city of Bay City. How about potholes? That'd be nice. We're having a meeting on whether we should get rid of people who weren't supposed to be here in the first place because they didn't fill out paperwork properly. But we have roads we can't even drive down. We sold bridges off because we couldn't afford them. But somehow we're supposed to afford illegal immigrants that are going to stress our schools, because if one family comes in with 5 kids and they show up, they get free breakfast, they get free lunch at school. These are our resources. I've seen a lot of people come up here and say all this stuff about the community, but like we're supposed to give it to the illegals. This is crazy. You don't run business like this. We shouldn't be running our city like this. Let's be efficient. Let's keep our dollars to our city, make sure we get our dollars, and yeah, thank you for vetoing it, because it's absurd.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kayla Harper, 809 28th Street. Commissioners, I have a confession to make to you. I'm a Trekkie. I grew up watching Star Trek, but for me, it was never just about starships and alien worlds. It was about possibility. It was about a future where diversity isn't just tolerated, it's celebrated, where curiosity is sacred, empathy is strength, and everyone has value simply because they exist. Those ideals shape the way I see the world and the way I believe the world can be. Those ideals are why you keep seeing me at this podium, meeting after meeting after meeting, because I believe in what I am saying. That's why it hit so hard when, as my mother and I were watching Star Trek Discovery together 2 days ago, I saw the news on Facebook that the educational visas of several international students at Central Michigan University were suddenly terminated by the Department of Homeland Security. No notice, no explanation. The students had broken no laws. The university or the students themselves hadn't even been told. These students were reclassified overnight as illegal immigrants. And it's not just CMU. Hundreds of universities across the United States are reporting the same thing happening. A couple of weeks ago, over 500,000 migrants lost their legal status when Trump revoked protections under the CHNV humanitarian program. These weren't people crossing in secret. They followed every rule, they trusted our country and its process, and they still had the rug pulled out from under them. This administration isn't just deporting undocumented immigrants, it's creating them to inflate those deportation numbers. Trump has threatened to pull funding from universities that allow anti-Trump protests or even just allow students to wear masks. He's targeted Ivy League schools and public campuses alike. He's told overseas suppliers, grant recipients, and even embassy contractors that they must abandon all of their DEI policies or risk losing federal dollars in contracts. These policies are often required by law in the countries that they operate. Every day I look at the news, he's threatening more organizations, more schools, and more municipalities for more reasons. These funding threats are part of a broad strategy of using funding as a weapon to force obedience. Most of you who voted no on this resolution, including the mayor who vetoed it, publicly stated that your decision wasn't based on disagreement with the policy itself, but rather fear. Specifically, fear of funding threats from our president. That's important because it means you understand that this resolution is reasonable. You understand it aligns with practices we already follow. You understand that it's about human dignity and keeping Bay City a place where people feel safe and included. And yet, when pressure was applied, you stepped back. Not because the resolution was flawed, but because someone in Washington threatened you. That terrifies me. Because the last time I spoke to this body, I asked you what was next. And since then, we found out what the next threat is. On April 3rd, states were directed to confirm that they are eliminating all DEI policies in public education or risk losing all Title I funding. This supports low-income students. And even our children aren't safe from his threats. My oldest has a 504 plan after surviving a traumatic brain injury, barely. My youngest is autistic and has an IEP. Their education is not separate from DEI. It is DEI. These protections aren't political, they're personal, and they're the reason my kids can go to school and have a chance to thrive. Bay City Public Schools currently receives $2,882,000 in Title I funding. They've been told they won't get that funding if they continue to support my daughter's education. Pretty comparable to what's happening here. So when you tell me that you voted no out of fear of losing money, I hear a warning. I hear that this administration, that if they decide to come after my kids' education next, and they already have, you'll stand aside if any part of that hits this chamber. You'll weigh my daughter's future against a check.
Time.
Commissioner Runberg.
Move to provide the speaker 2 more minutes.
Commissioner Tenney.
Second.
Is there any objection? You have 2 more minutes.
You will weigh my daughter's future against a check, and you'll choose the money. You were elected to serve and protect the people of Bay City, all of us. That includes my family, that includes immigrants, the disabled, the marginalized. If you can't stand up for our migrants now, I have no faith that you will do any better for our children or any other marginalized group who face the same threat. There will be more in the next 4 years. If you don't think there will be, you're deluding yourself. You're sticking your head in the sand because this is where it begins. And I understand that this role may be more than some of you expected. One of you even said at the last meeting that you're out of your comfort zone because you thought that this would mostly be quiet local work like budgets and routine decisions. But no one can hold political office at any level and expect to be untouched by politics. Our city does not exist in a vacuum. Decisions made higher up will reach your desk, and you were elected to meet those moments with courage. If that no longer feels possible, it's okay to acknowledge that. But if that's the case, respectfully, you need to make room for someone who is ready, because we need leaders who will not step aside when the playground bully balls up his fist at the next victim. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tory Card, 914 Garfield. I found out about the veto at work through a coworker saying to me, "Thank goodness the mayor vetoed the resolution to bus in all the immigrants around America to our city," which was very confusing to me. The misinformation about this resolution is crazy. So of course the people against this bill are afraid when they are being fed things like that. I understand your wishes to protect our grants and our funding to our city, but I think the lives of our immigrants, legal, newly illegal, or even never illegal, they are still people, and their lives are far more important than money. And for those that think this resolution is disrespectful to our police, I don't really understand it. It seems to me that this is just to make sure that they can continue to do what they want and not be forced to deputize for ISIS. That's all I want to say, except that I agree with what someone said earlier, that if not this, then what? And I also agree with what someone from the opposition said, which is to vote with your morals. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We are now into special orders. Will the clerk read the next special order item on the agenda?
Special Order Item 1. The question before Commission is, shall Commissioner Runberg's resolution regarding immigration enforcement vetoed by the mayor be passed notwithstanding such veto?
Okay, so is there a motion? There's no motion, it just goes the vote. Up or down vote, yes or no? Yeah, just to make sure, yeah.
Just to clarify, a yes vote means you do not agree with the mayor's veto and wish the original action to stand. A no vote means you agree with the mayor's veto and wish it to be sustained.
All set, commissioners? Okay, do the roll call.
Commissioner Runberg.
Yes.
Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris.
No.
Prince.
No.
Coakley.
No.
Bernie Obershaw.
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
Hilliker.
No.
DeWitt.
Yes.
5-4.
Okay. No, please hold to applause.
No
please.
applause.
Okay, so that means that the motion fails? No.
Correct.
Okay.
Six votes were needed.
Yep, so
to
motion
override.
fails. Thank you. Next item of business is the regular agenda. Will the clerk please the next item of business?
Regular Agenda Item 1, Commissioner Tenney's resolution calling on the governor to promptly schedule a special election to fill the 35th District Senate seat.
Is there a motion? Commissioner Tenney. Is there a second? Commissioner Coakley.
Second.
Any discussion? Commissioner Prince.
I'd just like to say I am abstaining from the vote due to a professional conflict of interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Commissioner Tenney.
Sure, thank you. Just want to again say that this resolution, like the previous one, should not be a partisan issue at all. I did get a partisan call about this, and I've heard some partisan ruckus about it, primarily from left of center, saying we haven't had a special election because there's a good chance that somebody with an R by their name might win. So I'm going to revert back to my previous point and say that instead of saying, what if we lose, how about saying, what if we don't fight? That's my advice to people who are saying that sort of thing. Also, just because somebody has a political affiliation you do not agree with doesn't mean that we should be left hanging without representation. So if you are a person who's perhaps interested in that office, fight like hell, maybe. Just a thought. Also, I'd like to say that sometimes it feels like we talk out of both sides of our mouths. We say that we want to grow our population, we want more youth to move here, yet when a resolution that the youth favors is in front of us, we don't act on it. So, and the last thing I want to say is a special thank you to my community partner who brought this to me and helped me tweak the verbiage on it. And that is all. Thanks.
All right, any other discussion? All right, seeing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Charlebois.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Prince.
Abstain.
Coakley.
Yes.
Bernie Obershaw.
Yes.
Tenney.
Yes.
Hilliker.
Yes.
DeWitt.
Yes.
Runberg.
Yes.
8 yes.
All right, Madam Clerk, does that complete the items on tonight's agenda?
Yes, it does.
All right, since everything is done, we are adjourned.